All right, I've welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Monday, August 14th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets here, basically just kind of floating higher. So we had a gap down this morning, little sideways action, and then kind of a buy the dip here. Looks like some short covering, short profit taking here. NVIDIA, one stock, is up nicely there, up 6.3%, so that is helping out. The semiconductors you see up 2.6, and obviously the triple Qs, just V-shape there. And NVIDIA, if we look here at the daily, a little extended from that 20 moving average. I thought it was a good chance it would go, and pierce 400, maybe even tag this trend line here. But you're seeing some algos kick in, and again, the light volume this week, I think, will be a theme. There's not a lot of economic data. I think we have retail sales tomorrow, but outside of that, nothing crazy. And then we have OPEX on Friday as well. And this is that kind of the time of the year where a lot of traders take vacation, institutional investors take vacation, and you can see that light volume kick in. Take a look at the spiders here, 3 o'clock, and we have 33.6 million shares. So we are seeing a bounce. Looks like some shorts covering there. As we get into some support, I would have liked a little bit more of a dip into 442, maybe even pierce this trend line, get down to 440, but doesn't look like that's going to happen unless we get some type of news or retail sales is awful tomorrow or something of that nature, because there just really isn't a catalyst right now, and there isn't really volume. And when there's light volume, you want to give the market a neutral to upside bias. So we've been kind of looking for this bounce here, and this should be it. I mean, I don't really see any reason why it can't be. It doesn't mean we can't, go down and hit these levels after all, but based on the hourly, we take a look at the spiders intraday. Sometimes you take a look at the hourly, tells you the picture, up move, inside bar. So, we could get a continuation tomorrow, possibly even up into that 450 handle. Maybe we don't get there tomorrow, but maybe we just kind of float up into the end of the week or into Wednesday. Maybe we, stall out. I'm not really sure. But either way, it does look like there is a bounce here in place. And obviously seeing some leadership there from technology. Banks and energy kind of taking a break here as they've had a nice run. We'll talk about obviously XLE and XLF in a minute. But you see here the triple Qs. We did break that trend line. We broke the 50 moving average last week for the first time since January, with confirming below it rather. We broke below it and then confirmed on Friday. And we were unable to do that the last 2 times we tested. So right there you had it. And got to go back to right here. And it failed. So it was really, back to December that we were below it, and then we never confirmed back below it as soon as we got above it. But anyways, triple Qs here getting a bounce, and I guess look where it's stalling out, right on the 50 MA today. So again, that should be, technically resistance once you confirm below it. Can we get up here into the 20 moving average? I think that's kind of where it wants to go in the near term and essentially backtest this trend line. So if we get some further upside, again, light volume, light economic data, generally give the market an upside bias. August is typically one of those types of months. I do think we will get some volatility, though, in August, more volatility than we've gotten. But right now, I think probabilities favor some type of a retrace here. Again, the Qs, upsloping trend line, downsloping 20 MA, and then really 380 I think would be kind of your max move here in the near term for the spiders. Again, last week I told you the same thing. So 452, 453 is kind of your max upside. Near term 450 and then the 20 MA. So nothing really has changed there. Again, markets maybe on the quieter side. I'm doing this video early. I've got some stuff going on after the bell, but I probably would do it early anyway, just because of how light the volume is, and it's not likely we're going to do a whole lot into the end of the day. Maybe we float up a little bit as we get kind of an algo buy program later in the day, but I wouldn't expect that to really change anything. Russell 2000 here, again, same kind of thing. So we pulled back, nice pullback, right into the 50 MA, and you got a nice tail candle. Again, you kind of hit this level here, 188. That was kind of a resistance level before. Resistance can become support. Russell 2000, if looking at the futures, see the same kind of thing there. Right around that 1910, 1915 area was resistance, and we got a little bit of a bid off that. So Russell getting a bounce there as well. And again, it looks like the market's probably put in some type of a local low here at the very least. Dow still in this choppy range. Nothing really terrible going on there. On the weekly, you still have a decent little bullish kind of bull flag pattern there on the weekly. So Dow holding up the best out of the 4 major indices, which makes sense, obviously, when the market is in pullback mode. SMH we talked about already. Again, I said 145, 146 should get tested. And, it's gotten a bounce off that. So they got a nice little engulfing candle there, filling the gap. We'll see how it reacts at 150, 151. And if you get through that, again, watch the 50 and 20 moving average. They're going to kind of converge here in the next couple of days. And that may be an area of interest there for the SMH. So that's something that we're definitely going to watch. Obviously, NVIDIA leading semiconductor. That may want to get up to 450. So we'll watch that too. I expect that to coincide with any level there on the SMH. Cloud software is still hanging on. So we got a nice pop today, up 1%. Again, watch this at the end of the week. If you close below that green bar, that's a big, big negative. But right now, again, with the market bouncing in bounce mode, we'll probably look for it to get to this downsloping trend line here. So you got a lot of areas here, 20 MA downsloping trend line, and then this previous pivot right up there at 354. We'll just call it 355. So right in that area is probably where cloud software IGV wants to go here in the near term, and then we'll kind of reevaluate it from there. Transports here, we're on the weaker side earlier, but did come back a little bit down, or up 1/4%. Still don't love the pattern here. I don't like how you had that big kind of outside move there. We did come back, but I'm not sure what to make of this right here. It needs to get back above the 20 moving average and fill that gap there. And then you can go back to 16.6. Pattern-wise, I'm thinking this puts in a lower high and comes back down here to test this area. Not right away, obviously, but and it's still holding up. It's still holding up better than a lot of sectors here, but I just don't like how you lost that 20 MA last week. But either way, it's hanging in there okay. I won't make too much out of it right now, especially with the volume as light as it is. Anyways, let's get over to yields here. So market, reason why the market gapped down this morning, take a look at the 2-year, up 4.97. A month ago, this would have freaked the hell out of the market, being this close to 5%, but the Fed funds rate, effective Fed funds rate is now at 5.33. So we can go all the way up to here before the market has a problem. Once we get through here, there's a big problem with the market. Big problem for the Fed, big problem for market. Everything needs to be repriced and revalued. Until that happens, though, market's safe here. But, looking at this, try to tell me that doesn't want to get up there. But in any case, 5-year also holding up 4.36%. That should get through 4.5, in the not too distant future. 10-year curling back up again. This gets through this pivot. You're going to the double top, and you're just kind of chugging along here. Nothing terrible. Not getting overbought, not getting extended, just kind of chugging higher. 30-year. It's a crowded trade, but I can't see anything wrong with the chart. Up move, bullish inside bar, that looks to be holding up well. We get through 4.4, this is going higher. So again, yields hanging in there just fine. I don't see any issues, and I'm not going to be bullish on bonds for a long time. Anyways, outside of bounces, because everything will get a bounce. But XHB here hanging in, again, still kind of a rolling top type look. Same thing with ITB, but neither of these trends are broken, and I can't do anything with them right now until they give us a topping signal. VNQ trying to hang in there. That's daily bear flagging. That probably wants to get down to 80. That could be a buy there for a swing with that upsloping trend line. And then we even have an add level down there at 78. But again, VNQ still on the softer side. XLF here on the weaker side today here. That can still get up to 36 to 36.20, but it is backing off again. Tech doing a lot of the heavy lifting today, but again, tech was oversold. It had to get a bounce, so again, it's pretty much par for the course here. Nothing terrible. KRE losing that 20-day, so a little bit of minor kind of chart weakness there. It's not broken by any stretch. But it did get back below the 20 moving average, and we'll continue to watch that and monitor it. I don't see any problems right now, but it did lose that 20 MA. And then you see the KBE there. Same thing. No real problems, but just a minor kind of dent there in the armor. XBD, guess what? Went right to that trend line and got a little bit off of that. So we'll see. Next move probably take you up to about 510. So we'll call that resistance right now. But broker-dealers, not a terrible little retest of that trend line. If it can hold up, 510 will get you some daily chart resistance. If we break down, you got to go test the 50, and then you can go to 480. But right now, I don't see any issues there. Crude onto energy here, down 1% on the day, but did come off the lows. And if this just grinds here underneath 83.50, that's really bullish for crude. I still think it needs to do some more pulling back, backing and filling, but there's nothing to say it can't just correct through time. And I'm not bearish energy in the second half of the year, but pattern-wise, this is okay right now. We did go into that weekly level. We didn't close above it. Put in a little doji there after a big thrust higher, so that's why I say we need to consolidate, maybe pull back. But I don't see any problems with the chart here, and chart still looks good. Same thing with XLE, that's holding up really well. XOP, that needs to pull back, but is very strong. OIH looking to do some consolidation here as well, potentially. That is overbought, but again, very strong on the charts. Natty here, little inside day here, up just about 0.75%. So we had the pullback, then we came off the lows there Friday and just kind of hanging in there. Be interested to see how this trade's moving forward. Does it pull back and flag a little bit more, or do we start to curl back up? I'm in the camp that if we get above 3, or I would say even you get back above 290, 295, it's going to test 3, and at that point, I don't think 3 can hold. And that's where the shorts are camped out. So if you break that, that's where the squeeze triggers on natural gas. All right, over to dollar gold, or well, we'll get to gold in a second. I almost said the dollar gold index. Now the dollar index. So that was very strong earlier today. Take a look at the intraday. It was very strong this morning, and then it came back in, all the way back in, and now it's curling back up again. So dollar holding up really well. We tested this area. That's why I said, look, it's not a license to buy it. We did get above my weekly resistance. We closed above it last Friday. And now you're into the 200-day moving average. You're into this daily chart pivot right there, 103.37. Then you have this level, 103.75, just above that. So there is resistance here. That's why it's not a license to buy it, just because we closed above a resistance level. But if this gets up into this area and it just starts to chop around, it probably is telling us it wants to go higher. If it starts to pull back sharply and reject, then we know we'll start to look for lower levels there. But right now, dollar's still acting well, and it's bidding up here. And it did, it gave back a lot of the gains, and it came right back off the lows. So it's acting well and hanging in there just fine for right now. On to gold here. So gold a little bit lower there. Again, I still think this wants a 200 MA, 1900. Nothing has really changed there. We've retraced a lot of this move here, a lot of that gap up. You do have some daily chart support here with, that 1930 pivot. See how we went up here and then we broke out. So right in this area, we basically kissed it today and came off the lows. So maybe it gets a little bit of a bounce, especially with a dollar going into that resistance level. But ultimately, I think it wants 1900 here in the near term, and we'll just wait for that. Silver also testing 2250 and coming off the lows here. This is still really oversold, but I still think it wants to go lower after a bounce there. That will be a bounce for buying. Platinum also taking a little bit of a hit down, 1.15%. That still has one more push down. And palladium here coming back in a little bit after that pop on Friday. So I wasn't too excited. If you remember, I wasn't super excited about that pop on Friday, getting above that trend line, just because you still have that weekly bear flag look. And until that gets negated, it's kind of a tough trade here on palladium. Palladium's also very thin, so you got to be careful with it. I still think it needs to get below 1100. And then copper here hanging on to that 370 handle here. We'll see what kind of pattern it puts in. Might even get a lower high. You could get a little head and shoulder there too. So your shoulder, head, and then if you come up here and put in a lower high, it could be a right shoulder, which, let's just do that for now. I don't normally like to entertain these until they actually trigger, but just for fun here. So if we just assume it breaks right, that would take you right down to my target, so 340. Of course, this still has to actually trigger and play out, but we'll watch that. But again, you guys know that's where I'm looking for it to ultimately go. And again, nothing really going on there today. All right, Bitcoin here all over the map. Got a bit earlier, then came off the highs. Bitcoin still in this choppy range. You already know what I'm going to say. Weekly pattern is still very good and still well intact here. Retested the 20 a few weeks ago, and that looks just fine here. It looks like it's waiting on that ETF news. I think that's the catalyst for a move here. But again, just kind of hanging in there. Nothing really too new to report. Okay, anyways, let's get back over to the spiders here. Looks like they might float us up a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Russell trying to go green there, getting a little bit more of a bid. Again, I don't really see any problems here. It does look like we possibly have a local low in place. We'll watch 450 here in the near term this week and see if that is a level of interest. Then on the triple Qs, obviously, watch this trend line and that downsloping 20 MA for kind of those near-term levels here. But outside of that, we're looking at, I would think, a pretty muted week volatility-wise, although I think volatility will start to come back as we get towards the later part of the month, but we're not quite there yet. So anyways, guys, gonna wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I will talk to you guys all tomorrow.